Come on, lucky sevens. Whoa, now we're talking about how to get lucky and how luck is in your life. Where does it play? I've heard it over and over again. I'd rather be lucky than good. Luck doesn't necessarily always happen by accident. Have you ever noticed that some people are luckier than others? Some people just everything tends to go their way, and other people, nothing ever seems to happen right for them. That's what we're going to talk about today. What's the difference between those two people? That person that nothing seems to happen right for, and that person that always seems to be getting lucky. They can do absolutely no wrong. The first thing a lucky person does is they always stay busy. They never stop moving. They're constantly moving in the process. Whether they're moving towards putting a car deal together, they've got their head up, chin up, they're looking for their next prospect, their next sale. They tend to know where their next sale is coming from, but they're always moving. I had a good friend one time who had got out of the business, and he ends up becoming this fighter pilot. His name's Jay, and when Jay got out, he's one of the smartest guys I ever met. I said, if you had to do over again, what's the one thing you would do different if you got it back into the car business? And he said, the one thing I would do, he said, I'd never stop moving. He said, if I had to pick one area where I failed, it was leaning into stagnation. He said, I don't care if I was back in the back cleaning the toilets, sweeping the floor, or selling a car, I would never ever stop moving. Nothing good comes from stagnation. The only thing good from stagnation is mosquitoes. And who in the world wants a mosquito? Bloodsuckers come from stagnation. So you stay involved, you do the right thing, you keep moving. That's what lucky people do. They don't stop. They're where the action is, where people are at. If you're in sales, you don't need to be alone in some stagnant pond. You need to be where people are at, and they can see you, and they can listen to you, and you can be heard. That's what lucky people do. So stay moving, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep trusting the process. Don't get pulled back. Don't let that gravitational pull of inertia pull you in so that you stop moving forward. If you do that, you can't get lucky. You won't be lucky. And that leads us to number two. Lucky people recognize that luck is out there. They recognize the part that luck plays in their life. When a loser loses, it's because he had bad luck. When a loser wins, it's because he was just that good. A loser doesn't understand the difference between luck, and he doesn't understand bad luck. He doesn't know the difference between the two. In fact, there's probably no such thing as good luck in his life. The loser holds on to that good luck and tries to better himself inside by saying, that was me, I did that. When a lucky person gets lucky, they understand that it was luck, and they never confuse luck with talent. That keeps a lucky person out of a lot of bad situations because they know the difference between good things happening in sequence, say like a streak. Once a streak gets going, they ride the streak as far as they possibly can. I'm going to give you another story here. I'm riding one time, I'm going off, I'm traveling with my wife, I'm traveling with my grandmother, and we're going to the birth of one of the first children born of my generation that was coming in, to see them brought into this world. And we stop off. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I've been reading about playing blackjack, and I want to play some. And we had to drive through Biloxi on the way. I said, I'm just going to pull in, and we're going to play blackjack for a couple of hours. The wife and grandma said, fine, we'll go shop. We'll walk around some stores while you do it. I'm going to go to the blackjack table. And I'd been reading, and I'd decided that I knew that blackjack was one of the few places in the casino where you could mix a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill, and you put the two things together and good things could happen. It was one of the few places where you could get an edge. So I sat down at the table. I put my first 100 on there, and I said, you know, I've been reading enough. I'm not playing $10 hands anymore. These are $100 hands I'm playing for. I looked for the table, first off, that I could get to a $100 bet on. It was just me. A little nervous about a crowd, so it was just me. So I sat down and played, and I hit blackjack. I put another 100 down. I hit blackjack. I put another 100 down. I hit blackjack. I put another 100 down. I hit blackjack. I hit blackjack. I hit blackjack. I hit blackjack. 7 times in a row, I blackjacked. I hadn't been sitting there 10 minutes, and I've got 7 blackjacks in a row. Now, before we showed up, I had been reading. Now, I could have sat there and said, man, look, I'm some kind of genius. I have figured this out. I can quit my career right now and start professional gambling. I have been studying for weeks for this trip leading up to it. I knew I was going to be driving through Biloxi. I knew that I wanted to test my skill at how well I was going to be able to play the cards, and I've hit blackjack 7 times in a row. The 8th one laid out, I put my 100 on the table. The 8th one came out, I busted. At that point, you know what I did? I said, color me out, we're leaving. Wasn't 15 minutes, I go find my wife, find my grandma, we pull them off. I said, we're gone. And I got a handful of cash to prove it. Because I knew that that was just a streak, it was just luck, it was time to hang up. It had nothing to do with any book I had read. It had nothing to do with any skill that I had done. This was not me, this was the luck of the cards, and I wasn't going to press it and give all the money back to the house. When would I ever get that lucky again? I've played cards a lot in my life, and I have never, ever got that lucky again in my life. And probably one of the smartest things I ever did was get up and walk away from that table when I busted one time. In fact, I was a little nervous when I was walking out. I just knew somebody was going to walk up to me and think I had did something wrong because I had just swept the table of so much money. But that's the difference between a lucky person and the loser. At no point did I associate that win streak with any skill that I had inside, with any book that I had read, with any cassette I had listened to. Now, there comes my age. It wasn't a CD. It had been a cassette at that point. With any cassette that I had listened to at that time. It's just luck, and luck is luck. And the number 3 thing that a lucky person does, that a loser doesn't do, is they learn how to keep their mouth shut. I can remember young in my career, my boss looking at me, telling me, he was a mentor to me, telling me, you know what, you get diarrhea of the mouth and you need to learn how to shut up. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I was just happy-go-lucky, trying to live my life, sell cars, better myself, and move on. I later figured it out. But it took years for me to get to that point. Not the same guy, but another guy who I also looked up to had rose as high as I think one person could rise at that time in the car business. He had rode up and he was an owner. But he started slowly moving down the ladder. And it ended up to where he was sitting in front of me one day, looking, needing, wanting a job. And he got one. He got a job sitting on the desk, and this was a big drop from where he had previously been. And I looked at him and I thought, how did he get here? This was somebody who had it all. And I looked up to this person. At one time, I might have wanted to be this person. But the one thing I struggled with is now the lesson that I need to figure out, the one lesson I need to learn from him at this point, is what did he do that caused this fall? What did he do that moved him down? And I don't know 100% if I got it, but I learned real quick. I learned real quick, and the first thing I noticed was that he was a gossip. And he liked to talk. And he liked to talk about other people. And he liked to talk about people that had nothing to do with him. And he liked to talk about previous people that he had worked with. And he liked to say a lot of negative things. And he liked to fill himself up full of puffery. To puff himself up by talking bad about others. And then I realized that's what caused that fall. That's what caused him to be so unlucky. There was a lot of people under him that probably looked up to him, that had followed kind of his chain and his tree. But you know what? If he was gossiping that much now, how much had he gossiped in his past life before he'd got there in front of me? And when it come time to catch him, their hands weren't out to catch him, and they just let him keep falling and keep falling and keep falling. And then finally he hit on me, who didn't know him that well, apparently. Because I had no idea it was there. It immediately moved him down a couple of notches in my life, in my eyes, and what I saw. And I realized that you just had to keep your mouth shut. People who are lucky, they don't get caught up in the gossip circles. They don't get caught up in the negativity and the suck of the negative part that moves into the little conversations that move around businesses and communities. They stay away from all that. Now, they're still listening to it. Don't get me wrong, they know what's going on. But while that conversation's happening right here, their back turned to it, their ears, they may have one ear listening. And they know what's going on and they know what's being said, but they're not getting involved in it. Loose lips sink ships. One of the first things I ever heard about closing your mouth. It's better to look like a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Focus on finding somebody who's there to buy your product, your service, whatever you're offering, and get ink on paper, and don't get caught up in that negative conversation. And above all else, follow Will Rogers' advice. Never miss an opportunity to shut up. The number 4 trait lucky people have is they have a lot working. They have a lot of things moving. They have a lot of irons in the fire. They know where their next car deal is coming from. They got a good idea where their second and third car deal is coming from. They're starting to feed their funnel back here, and they're working that prospect funnel, and they're constantly pouring into the prospect funnel so a car deal, a deal can pop out of the bottom. They have those things moving. They don't stop. Lucky people understand that they're always selling. They never stop. If you are in a commission business, then you are constantly working to get that commission, to get ink on paper. You have to start filling your funnel up to get there. And lucky people have that moving for them. They have those prospects out there. They have those bird dogs sending them customers. They're following that Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross lead. Now I'm going back if anybody gets that right. Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross lead. You remember it? Coffees for closers. That's what they're moving for. They're following the ABCs, AA, BB, C closing. That's what closers do, and that's how they continue to stay lucky. They're following Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, ABCs. And the 5th trait that it seems all lucky people have, they always have a bit, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here, they always seem a bit, they believe a little bit in the supernatural maybe, right? Things are lucky. They might have a lucky hat, a lucky rabbit's foot. There's something out there that's keeping them lucky, right? They believe in it. They believe in that luck that pulls for them. They believe they deserve to be lucky. We had, at one point, we got on this streak, man. Me and a sales manager I had, he's one of my best friends, Tommy Miller, we moved forward and we were closing car deals, man. We're closing them left and right. And we believed in the power of the pen. The power of the pen is ink on paper. And we knew that we had to work for ink on the board. In the car business, for those of you that aren't in it, you put your name up. When you're boarding a car deal, you board it, you board it, you board it when they say yes. And it's the customer's name, it's what they bought, it's what their trade-in is, and then it's your name put up in lights so everybody can see. So we're boarding car deals left and right. We believed in the power and the magic of the pen. And so we started working every deal and we would write. We figured out inside of a Marks a Lot mark, Marks a Lot could get about 200 car deals is what you could write on the board. 220 before it would run out of ink. That's about how many deals you could write on a board was about 200. And so we would take those deals, and when we ran out, it got stuck to the board. And then the next month, after we wrote our next 200 deals, we took that one and we stuck it to that one and we taped it to the board. And before long, we had thousands and thousands of car deals represented on this one glass, and we had the power and the glory of all these deals shining down on us every time we went to board a deal, and the power of the pen was there. We had rituals for how we retired a pen. You didn't just take the pen and stick it up there. This pen represented lives and livelihoods. It represented so many objections that were overcome, so many salespeople that helped them reach their goals, so many customers got what they wanted, what they deserved, what they liked, and we helped give it to them. That pen represented so much, and you just didn't throw it in the trash. There was a ceremony to put it. You can't just throw it away. So we followed our ceremony. And then, you know, if we all of a sudden got into a string of bad luck, there was a ceremony for that. And we take pennies and we moved them and we fed the lot, because you had to feed the lot. You take pennies out of your pocket and you throw them and you scatter them around because you feed it, because you know that what you give to the universe is what you get back. And when you start doing right by yourself and by others, then they're going to do right by you. What you give out comes back to you. Lucky people understand that bit of, for lack of a better word, supernaturalism that comes from it. And it's okay. It's okay to move that, to have something lucky in your life, whatever it is, whether it's a Buckeye that my grandmother carried around, or it's our magical pens that we put on our board that represented thousands of car deals that were there so we could see and look at every single day. It reminded us that we were there to do business. It reminded us that we could do it, that we deserve to do it, and we deserve to be lucky, and we deserve to have luck in our life. And if you want to get just a little bit luckier, it's time to hit the subscribe button. It's time to hit the bell over in the corner. Maybe even a thumbs up might be in order. And I'm telling you, you're a clutch closer. You're here to close car deals. That's how you're going to be clutching the close. That's how you're going to be a clutch closer. Let a little luck in your life.